It seems that I'm always late with these videos. I always forget about them. So yeah, I'm a bit off schedule. I am going to talk about the books that I've read in January 2022, but it's already like mid-February almost. Anyways, I really want to share my reading month, my previous reading month, because it was quite productive and I read a lot of fantastic books. It was a great beginning of the year, so let's go chronologically. Some of the books that I finished in January, obviously I had begun them in 2021, but just finished them in January, which is, I think, fine. It doesn't matter, right? And the first book that I finished in January was Playing to the Gallery by Grayson. So it's a book written by the artist Grayson about how we can perceive art, especially contemporary art, because a lot of people are intimidated by it, and he wrote a book like how not to be afraid of it, how to participate in all these activities that artists offer us to do, such as seeing, watching, enjoying art, maybe sometimes participating directly so. But actually, the reason why I'm reading these books about like how we see and perceive contemporary art is because I'm preparing a special video on that. So I will talk about it, of course, when the time comes. The next book that I read in January was the poetry, actually. It's a Homebody by Rupi Kaur. It was a gift from one of my girlfriends, and she got the same copy. And she shared with me, writer, and I never heard of her. Apparently she's very famous on Instagram, but I'm not like a big fan of Instagram anyways. So, but yeah, I kind of enjoyed that because it's very feminine poetry. And each page is dedicated to like one piece of her thoughts or her experience, and I really enjoyed it. It's divided into different sections. I really enjoyed the section about like immigration and what her father experienced as an immigrant. That was like I think the best part of the book. But yeah, I think it's a great gift actually to somebody who might be interested in poetry, especially modern contemporary poetry. The next book is Who is Afraid of Contemporary Art by Kyung and Jessica Cerasi. I hope I pronounced the names correctly, but it's the same idea of reading all the books about contemporary art for like absolute layman. And I will talk about this book in detail in the next video sometime in the future. The next book is it's not a book, but I mean, I think it's a book. Anyways, it's a collection of little comics by Pablo Helguera. He's a Mexican artist who produces this little collections of his comics on art world, galleries, fairs and all this stuff. And it's hilarious, especially for those who's like working in area of art and contemporary art specifically. I think it's just interesting to see this, sarcastic critiques on what's going on there. And it's also, I think, a good gift for somebody who's interested in contemporary art or who adores it. I consider it as a book that I've read last month. So that's also in my collection. The next book is I've read in Russian. The original text obviously is in Spanish, and it's Gabriel Garcia Marquez, 100 Years of Solitude. Well, I have to admit, this is one of the best books I've read in my life. And I was so surprised to realize that my year of 2022 began with such a great book. It's hard to beat it, I think. But I mean, I hope I will read more interesting and fascinating books this year. But this one is specific, very peculiar level, very high quality literature, and you dive into the story of this family, of the dynasty, of the whole dynasty, I would say, and you just can't stop discover all those stories that the author lays on you, and it is just, it's so good. And of course it is a bit confusing with the names, and I think this book is famous for it. But actually, I was I was making a little scheme. Let me show it. Actually, I left it in the book. It's like with all the names of the characters and how they relate to each other. So that helped me a lot. And sometimes I would just, go to that note and see what's going on. I think it's good for your own, cognitive training. So anyways, the most interesting part about this book, I think, is that it gives you this overwhelming, comprehensive story of one family, and you can see, like, from above, like all this 100 years of their story, but at the same time the author gives you so many little details, scents and sounds, and you can almost find yourself in the same scenery, in the same house, or in the same little town. And I really enjoy that reading. I was actually kind of skeptical about this book because I thought that it's a very confusing book, maybe about the culture that I have no idea. But surprisingly, it was not foreign at all. It was universal, I would say. So yeah, I enjoy that greatly, and I recommend this book nowadays to everybody. It's just best ever. The next book that I read in January is, well, unfortunately I don't have it because another girlfriend of mine gave it to me to read it, and I finished it like quite quickly because it's a short book. It's a collection actually of short stories, and I would translate it as the beauty mark. This thing that you put on your face. Anyway, so it's a collection of short stories by Milorad Pavić, and Milorad Pavić is a Serbian writer. He was a Serbian writer, and it was an interesting piece of postmodernistic literature. I've never experienced anything like that with the literature because basically the author gives you a choice in which order you will read some parts of the stories, and depending on their order, you can end up with let's say different feelings about this book. When the first part that you read was slightly different from the alternative ending, you might have a different perception of the whole book or the whole story. And this is what I liked about it. So yeah, it is very interactive. It's not that I'm complete beginner in perceiving such literary artwork or any artwork, because in contemporary art, interactivity is a very common thing among artists, and like they try to be more interactive with the viewers. So when literature does it, I'm not surprised. I think it's a very common idea, as well as in television, for example, or in movies, especially nowadays in like internet era. We can see it all the time, like when people can actually choose the ending of the TV series or a movie, and etc. So yeah, it's interactive literature. I like that and enjoy that. I think I can recommend it to other people, just to experience something different, not just a very straightforward narrative, but rather the narrative that you construct yourself. Yeah. Ooh. The next book was finally, it was a long time I wanted to read it, and it's Secret History by Donna Tartt. Well, I'm surprised. I actually did not enjoy it as much as I expected to. I really had really high hopes. about this book. I think because a lot of YouTube bloggers and a lot of critics tell us that it's a great book. I mean, it is a good book. Sometimes sometimes it's just too slow. Sometimes it's just not interesting. Some parts I have no idea why she put it there. Overall, the idea of this, dark academia, and the students, their life, and their experience of, adult life, the decisions that they make and how they affect them, and all this coming of age stories. It's fun. I enjoy that in a way, but at the end of the book, I was thinking like, what did I learn from that? Probably nothing. But I have to admit, it's a well-written book. Language is really good, and I enjoyed that greatly. To read it was a pleasure. To thinking about it was not. So, I think one should read it in order to understand what people talk about, and I do believe that we should try to read it anyways. And I think Donna Tartt is a very influential writer nowadays. I think she deserves at least our little attention. So yeah, that's it for this book. The next one was also a heavy loader. It was actually Karamazov's Brothers, by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I obviously read it in Russian, and to be honest, I began it in 2021, I think, in autumn. And I finished it only in January 2021, and there was a little pause I had in December. I haven't read a page of it, I think, but in January I come back and I finished it. And I have to say, it's bigger than life book. And what I mean by that is, first of all, it's a long book. The second, it has so many different ideas, so many different types of literature in one book. So you've got a little detective story, you also have a romantic line, you have psychological disorders, you have religious discussions, or discussion about the philosophy of religion. It's overwhelming, and it's good that I haven't read it in one sit. First of all, it's impossible. Second, I think one should read it throughout some time in order to somehow digest all these ideas. It's a big work, and I think I will come back to it maybe sometime in the future again, because it's just too much for one time. And anyways, I'm glad that finally I read something from Fyodor Dostoevsky. I've read a couple of his short novels in the previous year, but now I finally got the whole book. Again, in Russia, in high school, we usually read Crime and Punishment. I haven't done it yet. I will definitely read it someday. Anyways, for now, I've got another plans for Fyodor Dostoevsky, but we'll come to it later. Anyways, so yeah, I finished that book. I'm glad I did it. It's kind of an achievement for me, but still, I think I need some time to digest it completely. Maybe the best way is just to discuss with my friends, because a lot of them actually read it, and I'm latecomer. Yeah, the next one is Rebecca Solnit in her book Men Explain Things to Me. Initially I wanted to pick it because I thought it's completely about mansplaining, and I thought whoa, it's kind of a fun story. I asked my boyfriend, there is this book, Men Explain Things to Me, should I buy it? And he told me no, I'll tell you everything about it, and that was kind of funny. It's just an overall good feministic writing. It's not about just this phenomenon of mansplaining. It's also about the whole feministic, let's say, philosophy and their ideas and the reason why they appear. And one chapter was dedicated to Virginia Woolf, for example, as I think the great inspiration for many feminists, especially writers. And so yeah, and it's a complex, problem. And of course, mansplaining is just one of the outcomes of this patriarchic system. And yeah, I enjoyed that greatly. Actually, it made me want to read more of Rebecca Solnit. I heard that she's an excellent writer, and she's got a lot of books. So I'm going to check them all. Well, maybe not all of them, but some of them. Yay! The next one is another book that I've read for my future video on contemporary art and how we learn about it from books, and it's from Ossian Word, and it's called Ways of Looking: How to Experience Contemporary Art. Yeah, I will talk about this book in detail when I will be making that video I told you about. But so far, yeah, it's a great book because it has a lot of illustrations, a lot of different examples, some of them that I haven't heard of, so I was really glad to pick it up. So yeah, it was the last book. It means that I read 10 books in January, which is kind of impressive for me, even considering the fact that one of them was kind of a cartoon collection. But anyways, I think that was a success for me, including the fact that I actually read 3 very big books, like The Secret History, The 100 Years of Solitude, and the Karamazov brothers, or how's it called actually in English? Anyways, so, and about my plans on February. So obviously I'm already reading something in this month, and I've got for example, here I'm reading right now Natasha's Dance, which is a cultural history of Russia, and I'm actually enjoying it. Sometimes when I read about Russia and history of Russia from the foreign writers, for example, English or Americans, whatever, sometimes it's very biased, and it's not like it's very stereotypical, let's say. And sometimes it just doesn't give any justice to our history and culture. And in this book, it's not a case, and I'm glad that I picked it. And so yeah, but it's a big book, so it takes time to finish it. I also got Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I think everybody is reading it right now, so yeah, I want to be on that boat too. And yeah, I hope it will go well. I already started it, actually. It's kind of fun. I like this, British humor, I guess. So yeah, I hope that you all guys have a great year so far. I mean, it's just the beginning, but I hope you're very productive and you have a lot of good reads. But yeah, I'll see you soon, maybe with another bookish video, or maybe with some exhibitions. I don't know yet, but anyways, I'll see you soon, and yeah, bye.